Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the Expert Speaker Podcast, and we have special guest, Dr. Tara Scott. Dr. Tara Scott is a functional medicine practitioner. She is an expert speaker. She is a TEDx speaker, and she is going to tell us how she does it all. Welcome, Tara.
Thank you.
Tara, take us back. It's been a few years now. Before you started working with Expert Speaker, tell me about the practice that you had then and what your aspirations were as a speaker.
So prior to starting working with you, I think it was 2019, maybe 2018, there was a couple perfect practice conferences that I had attended that you had spoken at, or maybe podcasts through Perfect Practice. At that point, I was definitely the workhorse of the practice. I did have employed providers as well. And was trying to set up, funnels and a way of attracting patients through social media strategies, through a webinar, and through speaking at that time. So, I had done quite a bit of speaking, but it was more to educating doctors. I was, giving talks to the residents, OBGYN, and also had been for about 10 years teaching functional medicine and hormone balancing to doctors, but didn't have as much experiencing and refinery and finesse in speaking to patients other than an educational premise.
So with the new premise of speaking to patients with the objective of getting the right patients to sign up to work with you, what were some of the key insights, tactics, and strategies that made the biggest difference for you?
So a lot of what I learned through working with you was how to hit on pain points. So that was the one thing. My objectives in the past would be to describe pathways, and I had to really find a way to deliver that information that patients are interested in, but without making it to be too much science geeky, and to hit on what does it mean to them. So the first thing was redoing my webinar. I had a free webinar up on my website, and that was when I did your 2-day course. We had our signature speech, and there was a specific recipe that you told us about, your entry, and then your golden thread, and your pain points, your cautionary tale, and your success story, and then your ask. So that was the first thing that I did, was redid my webinar with that formula, and then recorded it, and then it's up on the website. So it's just constantly there with a steady stream of driving patients into an email list or a discovery call.
Do you know the site, the website for that webinar offhand, or how could we watch it if we wanted to?
So Revitalize Med is the practice website, and I think there's a button on one of them. It's, are you fatigued, forgetful? And then join our on-demand webinar.
Okay, revitalizemed.com.
Yes, and so there's probably an icon on the homepage, but that was still longer than you had advised, because it was still a little bit, I couldn't break away from that educational process. I had to throw that stuff in there. So I think it's 30 minutes. Okay,
great. And so what kind of results were you seeing with the first webinar, and what kind of results were you seeing after you changed it?
So, the beauty of that is that it's up there, it's on demand. The patient thinks it's, they're waiting for the next showing of it, but really, truly it's on demand, the way the tech put it up. And so it's there that people could watch it, start and stop it at midnight if they wanted. And so that takes a lot of the onus on me to be in front of people and to be talking to them. That it's basically a passive funnel that works that way. Once it's up there for the entirety then.
So before it was not like that? It wasn't?
So before it would be a combination of live events. And so I would speak in there's a health food store that did educational events. I'd speak 3 or 4 times a year, which would be great, and there'd be about 100 people that would attend those lectures, but they weren't necessarily, and I don't know offhand the percentages. I might get 4 or 5 clients from those talks, but they weren't pre-educated. They still didn't understand that, what my insurance won't cover this, you're not going to take my insurance, or how does this work? So adding those things into it in a social media presence. So then I continued to refine how I was using social media. And then it just made me frame a little bit more with a hook, with an ask, with a call to action, for even social media videos then. And so that rolled into kind of gaining traction on social media, even in regular media since then. I mean, I think that's one of the things that I've also benefited from Expert Speaker is I did another boot camp, just how to kind of pitch your ideas to reporters and get quoted in the media. And I've had 3 national TV spots on the list because of that. And I think just being able to know how to answer the questions and reframe it with the patient in mind has been extremely valuable for me, even turning in that little segment, which is aimed at education, but knowing how, the behind, the cautionary tale, that kind of thing, has really increased. I would say that has really, really increased our presence and the number of calls that we're getting.
Amazing. Let me say that back to you and then go a little deeper. So you're doing national TV interviews and you're answering questions with the patient in mind, using some of the frameworks you've learned from Expert Speaker, like cautionary tale framework and success story framework. Now, to go a little deeper, tell me, how would you have answered in the past if you were on an interview? And a little bit more specifically, how are you answering questions in interviews now that you're finding more effective?
I think for me, just being a traditionally trained doctor, I mean, that science part of me, the geek in me is just thinking I'm still teaching, which teaching is great. And I think patients still value that, but you got to figure out the pain point. So that was kind of an aha moment for me, hitting the pain point. How will this help me to them? And also the call to action. That doesn't come naturally. I mean, as physicians, we're not taught anything about business. So really to have to always tie it back to what your call to action is. And I probably don't do that 100% on my social media now. So I think, that's something I still strive to always have that hook, catching their attention in the first, I don't remember what you said exactly, whether it was the first minute or whatever, they're going to decide whether they're going to keep scrolling or not. Right. So I think that those tips and techniques have all been extremely helpful. And I've rolled it into even getting on TikTok 6 months ago. I have 400,000 followers now, in 6 months, just because using those kind of techniques. Yeah. And yeah. And honestly, that has totally driven people have come out of state to see me.
Whoa. All right. We're going to have to talk about TikTok. So instead of being all sciencey and smart, talking about endoplasmic reticulums and Golgi apparati and the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, as you know. Instead, we talk about stories and pain points and the all-important call to action. By the way, what is your call to action?
So, it depends on what the medium is. I mean, a lot of times it's either and I try to rotate free workshop, paid workshops, discovery call, sign up for this program, follow me, like and share. So we just rotate, watch my webinar. So we're constantly rotating the call to action.
Very good. Okay. Testing out and rotating calls to action. And what you all just heard are all different things that we want our audience to do. Like, comment, share, sign up for the webinar, pay for the live workshop, download the book, schedule an appointment, schedule a call. Those are all different call to actions, and Tara is rotating them. Okay, we've got TikTok to talk about. We've got TEDx Talk to talk about. But I want to ask you, before we go there, we have here a live room of expert speakers who are probably where you once were. And they probably have some of the limiting beliefs, some of the doubts, some of the questions. They might be thinking, well, that's good for you, Dr. Tara Scott, but I don't have time. And how do you make time for the speaking? And, that might be good for you, but I don't know where to speak. And you probably got a really good avatar, and I don't know what my avatar is. And so my question for you is, what are your top 3 tips, biggest pieces of advice for an entrepreneur who wants to grow their practice with public speaking, knowing what you know now?
So some of that before Expert Speaker, I knew my niche. It's pretty apparent. I'm in female hormones. And so being an OBGYN, so it was not hard for me to hone down on it. But I do think you do stress that in your courses. And I do think it's important. I mean, some people resist it, but I really do think you have to be known as the expert in something. And if you're pretty good in everything, that's not going to drive people to come to see you out of state or pay a high ticket item. So I think that I already kind of knew, and that was familiar to me. So I think it became easy to do that. So I already could do that, but repurposing it in different types of content under that same guise. I think you teach initially, you wanted us to do 10 minutes in the initial, the 2-day course. We had to get it to 10 minutes, which was really a struggle for me. I mean, I'm used to teaching for hours and hours and hours. So that was really hard. One of the other benefits that I mean, you're like the master of words. And so you helped me a lot with words. And specifically during the writing process of the TEDx thing, I had never memorized a speech. And I know you had said, memorize, get your thoughts. So there was a couple times where I had spoken and then COVID happened, right? So there was a canceling of everything, nothing, no live events. So I was able to pitch some virtual talks. I spoke to all the women legislators in the United States. I spoke to the Chamber of Commerce. I still did, because I think through your speaking workshops and your ideal stage and how to get, what your ideas were, I wouldn't even have thought to speak in those arenas. I did get some of those via Zoom during the shutdown. So it was still, I was still had things that I was doing, even though I wasn't traveling, I wasn't speaking anywhere, and I certainly wasn't getting paid to speak, but I was getting clients from these free things that I was not leaving my house doing.
Yes. Cool. Okay. Let's go to TikTok. What did you think before you started your TikTok? What were some of the little gremlins in your mind about, I don't know if this is going to work for me. I don't know what your thoughts were. And what has your experience been with the TikTok?
Look, I am a 53-year-old woman that cannot dance. And so there is no way I was going to get on TikTok. And I have 3 college-age kids, and they were like, on TikTok, blah, blah, blah. And they'd send me, they'd show me some stuff. And I think I'm kind of funny, but I wouldn't consider that my strength, right? So one of my daughters is majoring in business, and she said, I really think you should get on TikTok, Mom. There are doctors who are on this, and I think you could use it for your business. And so I spent a week just set up an account, just watching, just trying to learn the lay of the land, trying to figure out what people were doing. And, there's basically 4 types of content that I put out. One is trends, so if someone does a trend and it's some canned audio, I would fix it to my niche. So it would, and I'm trying to think of whether it's a trendy song or a lot of times people will use clips from, words from movies or audio from movie or a joke, but I would always turn it into something that came back to my niche. So that was one thing. The second thing would just be like little informational short video, these are 3 things you can do to decrease your estrogen, and so I would do those things. And the third thing would be like, people would ask questions in those posts, and then I would just answer that in another video if I thought it was something that would help people. And sometimes those videos got a lot. So I had a couple of videos that just went viral that have one of them has almost 5 million views just on magnesium. Like somebody asked me a question on magnesium. So I said, after a week, I'm going to put a video on there, and I hit a pain point. I think I kind of just got lucky. My first one had 100,000 views within 24 hours, my first video. And I talked about how women get put on birth control pills when they don't need birth control, basically is what I said. But it just hit a pain point, and I posted 3 times a day for 30 days. And then after that, have been posting once a day since then. So it just took off and grew. And then, then as soon as you get more followers, you have the ability to go live. So I've been going live once a week and just kind of just saying, hey, what are your questions about hormones? No agenda, no preparation, which is totally unlike me. Usually I want to have slides and I want to have a whole thing that I'm going to talk about, but it's just flip on the live, schedule it. So I had to kind of get over, I still do not like to watch myself on video. I still, don't like the sound of my voice. I always think that I look like I stumble on my words. So I think I had to let go of it being perfect, because then when you put the captions, you can see how many words you said wrong or or whatever. So those were limiting beliefs, right? That it was progress, not perfection. So no matter what, I put the videos up, it was better than none, right? And so it's just taken off. And like I said, I mean, I don't have any appointments, I think, till March or April. I mean, it's just blown up.
So your business is booming.
Yeah.
Okay. And so progress over perfection, willing to be imperfect, willing to be unprepared and unpolished, and posting daily. Tell me about the habit and ritual of posting daily. Do you do it at a certain time? Do you ever find yourself feeling like, not today? And then how do you get over that and do it anyway? What's your ritual?
So TikTok is different than Instagram or Facebook. Well, maybe Facebook you can program in that you have something called drafts. So you can batch your content pretty easily. So you can make like one of the types of people ask me a question, I'll come back and I'll answer that with a video if I think people are going to really all benefit from that question. And I'll just knock out like 5 or 10 of them and they'll be in my drafts. So then I have it ready to go every day. And for me, they also give you analytics if you have a business account. So 8 p.m. is my time. Between 7 and 8 p.m. Eastern is when I post. That's when I have the most viewers. That's when I have the most content attraction. And so I get it ready, whether I do the captions or hashtags or even that isn't, you don't even really have to do that much as long as you build a following and you're nurturing your niche. And then I'll put the rest of the text or content or whatever else is in it. I've had to ask if it's a fancy editing thing, I've had to ask my kids to help me. But for the most part, my stuff is pretty simple. And then I just, between 7 and 8, you just post and it's all ready to go. So it doesn't really take me that much time. I mean, sometimes on the weekend, on a Saturday morning, I may make 3 or 4, or I might have to sit down because if I'm busy seeing patients, like today, I've got a couple that I really need to make because there's questions that have been asked. That I need to do. And so it depends on if I'm having a good hair day or not also.
Oh, totally. Bad hair day, we're keeping that a secret. No cameras, turn off the phones. Okay. Great point. So when a client or a patient has a question, why not answer it with a TikTok?
Yeah.
Our dear friend Uli Iserlo is here in the comments as we're streaming live on Facebook. And he says, you're amazing on camera. I assume he's talking to you. And also he asks, after shooting a video, is there any editing happening?
Okay, so because Uli has helped me tremendously over the years, actually. So I owe a lot of my success to my Mr. Miyagi, Uli Iserlo, for sure. So a couple of the things that he did also teach that I would like to repeat is repurposing content. I know this isn't the question you asked, but so if I film it in TikTok, it's easy to edit in there, and you can add captions, you can cut it. It's just easy. I also have an app called CapCut that you can use for TikTok, and I don't know if you can do it for Instagram. After I put it on TikTok, I use an app called Repost. It takes the TikTok watermark off, and then you put it on your Instagram story. Then you put it on YouTube as a short, #shorts. Okay. So you're repurposing all your content. And then I just got on Pinterest like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I don't have a lot of followers, but I've got like 9,000 views of my videos. Like I'll just put it up there. No comments, nothing. I don't even know if I'm doing it the right way. I've made a playlist. I put it on Pinterest, but that's my demographic. I mean, it's women. So I thought, let me just start putting it on Pinterest. So you can repurpose one thing a lot of places. I can put it at mine. When I post on Instagram, it automatically goes to Facebook also. If it's a video that I want to put in a Facebook group that I have, I can do that. So, and then I'll keep them all in a Google Drive, and then you can just go and recycle things. I don't know that you can recycle on TikTok, but you can, recycle in your story and make it a reel in Instagram. So it's definitely a way of multitasking and saving it. So as far as editing, a lot of what I do, I don't edit. It's like a one-shot deal. Some things I do have to edit though, and that's when I will do it in CapCut.
Gotcha. Okay. I want to put something into perspective for folks here. When I started this public speaking coaching business in 2017, I would often ask my clients as they were signing up, I say, what's your dream for public speaking? Like what's going to just show you that you made it? And they would almost always say, I can see myself speaking to a stadium full of people. And there's my face on the Megatron big screen. And everyone's listening to my speech. Okay. Now, I've been to stadiums where there's 10,000 people. I've been to stadiums with 20,000 people. Some of the biggest stadiums in the world have 50,000 people. Tara has one video that has 5 million views. That's 100 stadiums full of 50,000 people. And that's just one of her videos that she shot on a Saturday morning. And you have that in your pocket as well. So that's just amazing. Tara, I want to go back to the niche. You are the functional medicine practitioner for women who have hormone challenges.
Yes. And in your 2-day course, you told us to get a moniker, right?
Yes.
That was one of the things you told her. I'm Hormone Guru, and that's my name on TikTok is Hormone Guru. So thanks to you, that's now my new brand is Hormone Guru.
Okay. Well, I have some exciting news for you, Tara, since we haven't worked together in a while now. I had one good idea in the last 12 months. It's my favorite new good idea. And it's called the world's best positioning statement. And it's a formula where we use 3 words: the, for, who. The says one and only, for says target market, and who says subsection of the target market. And so you could be the hormone guru for women who have hormone challenges. And it says you're the best in the world for women with hormone challenges because you're the hormone guru for women with hormone challenges. So it's new intellectual property in the Expert Speaker Institute. We call it the world's best positioning statement, the for who. And I was just on the phone this morning with Pam Pryor, Jennifer Pryor's sister, and we were working out her the for who. Because once you have that clarity, it's a lot easier to speak on a podcast. It's a lot easier to speak on a webinar. It's a lot easier for your ideal client to say, you are definitely my person because you are the for me who has that problem. So it's so helpful, and it helps you make better decisions. It helps you position yourself, differentiate yourself. And I'm so happy that you got Hormone Guru on TikTok. So now let's go to TEDx. Tell us about your TEDx talk, how you landed it, what it was like to prepare for it, and what it's done for you, and just tell us all about it.
So just a little backstory. So I attended Majeed's 2-day in June of 2019. And then after that, I booked the year-long expert speaker. In July of 2019, my family and I were in a plane crash. And four of the 5 of us were going to pick up my younger daughter, who was doing a summer college program. My husband had a traumatic brain injury, was seriously injured. My older daughter had a spinal cord injury and is now paralyzed from the hips down. So that led me to live out of state for 2 months when my husband and my daughter were in inpatient rehab. I couldn't work because I was, being the major caregiver for 2 people. And then my twins had to be at home with somebody else in their senior year, with this turmoil. So that fall, I can't remember exactly when a call for speakers came out. So previous to this, my whole signature talk was a little bit about stress, but it was about hormones. And so, I was working with Majeed during that. I wasn't ever able to do kind of his program because of that situation. And then it was COVID. So I repurposed, kind of reshifted the talk as to kind of what I learned after surviving a plane crash. And so what we settled on, and I was kind of a little resistant to it because it wasn't specifically, it was hormones, but it wasn't really women's hormones, right? It was stress hormones, and it talked about stress, but we went right into COVID from that. So we had our own personal stress, and then we weren't even out of that stress before COVID hit. So the world needed to hear about stress, I think. And so repurposing that talk into about stress hormones and how I use that and what helped me during stress. I had an attention getter, obviously, and I spoke to my family and I asked, is everyone okay with me talking about this? I'm going to be sharing about this, and everybody was fine with it. And the focus wasn't necessarily the crash or even my daughter. It was really me and how it affected my life and how I handled that situation and what did I learn about stress. And so, the whole process of that. So I submitted it. There was the medical school, the local medical school had a call for speakers for TEDx. I think there were 63 submissions, and they chose 11 to speak. And so I was one of those. And so it was a big challenge for me to craft that into 18 minutes. The second challenge for me was memorizing the speech word for word, because they wanted you to write it word for word. And I was really kind of resistant to that, because I'm a speaker that puts the slides up and I just wing it. And, you know, I had gotten a little bit better at thinking through certain phrases because Majeed had kind of really suggested that. But for the most part, you know, the physiology part, I say so many times, I don't need to really practice that. But anyway, I stayed true to the process, and they give you a curator, and you have to be very careful about each little word you use because you only have so much time. So that was an interesting process. And it was also, you know, very educational. And I did memorize it 2 months before. I had it word for word. I gave that speech every day, twice a day, for at least 60 days, to no one, to someone, to everyone. I still have my slide projector set up in my office, and I would just on my lunch hour, just give the talk, you know, and I think that's why they tell you to do that, because then when it comes time and the lights are on and everything, and if something goes wrong, you got it down. So I even gave the talk to my running partner while we were running miles 6, 7, and 8 of our run. I gave the talk to my partner because I had it memorized. So that's something that I probably might do again if I had to give an important talk. That's something that I learned, and I didn't like to do that before. But it actually has not been officially published yet because it's still in editing, and then they have to submit it to TED, and then TED puts it up on their YouTube page. So I haven't even watched the playback yet to see. I just gave it on October 23rd. So I haven't been able to promote it. I have the audio from TikTok. There's a song that says, "Welcome to my TED Talk." So I already have my TikTok video planned where I'm going to promote it. But I haven't been able to even really promote it that much. I've got my professional photography pictures back that I put on my social media, but I don't have the link for the talk yet. So it was a really great experience. And I think for me, memorizing the words, so then you have the words that you want to say that are most impactful. And so I made little refinements here, there, a lot of, I like this word better. And so through that whole process, I think now I'm a believer in that process.
So you're a believer now in the write it, memorize it, practice it, practice it, practice it. What would you do differently if you can do it over again?
Actually, you know, I'm super, super critical. And I never think I do a good job, but I actually think I did a good job, and I like to talk, and I think I did a good job. And I think it's because I gave it every single day and I had it memorized. So even though, you know, we had a rehearsal Friday night, and then Saturday, like a couple people needed a prompt, like they have a person sitting right in front of you with your talk. So if you freeze, and this one of them who was super, super polished, she, you know, lost her place the night of the event. So that's why they have you do that. So someone can sit there and give you a cue. But to do it again, I don't know. I mean, I think, I'm not that I did it perfectly, but I think I did a pretty good job.
Good. Well, you know what they don't tell you, and they don't even tell you even when you're at your final dress rehearsal, is they don't tell you that they actually edit it afterwards. So if you do stumble, they just cut it out.
Yeah.
You know. Okay, so moving forward, what is your vision for your practice? What is your vision for yourself as a educator, expert speaker, now famous on TikTok, now soon to be a published and distributed TEDx speaker? What do you see for your future?
So I actually just sold my practice. I joined.
Hey.
This is brand new news. Yeah, the announcement's not even out yet. I mean, we joined a bigger group called Forum Health. So I think I'm the 20th practice of functional medicine, which allows me to practice medicine in my site and not have to do all the back end office, the admin, the legal, the HR. So I'm still doing what I'm doing, and I'm still speaking, I'm still teaching. So, but this is going to take a lot off my plate as far as I'm not going to be calculating payroll or negotiating a lease or doing any of that other stuff that I don't really enjoy. So in the future, you know, I do see myself continuing to see patients, but less and less, and more speaking. That's kind of my long-term goal, both in the arena of continuing to educate. So I have gotten many more gigs, even just in the medical arena, opportunity to speak for new organizations that I haven't spoken for before. I'm speaking at the Integrative Health Symposium. Dr. Weil is one of the speakers. So I'm speaking with him in New York in February. So that was a huge thing for me. So I'm getting more of those. And then I think, I will continue to pursue speaking to the patients. I've been approached by a publisher to write a book. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that yet. I'm toying around with that idea. So I think the long-term goal is definitely going to be more of this type of thing. And that was why I was so interested in the program in the first place, because I knew that was always kind of going to be my long-term goal, rather than patient care, move into more supervising and kind of speaking and being the face of, instead of the workhorse. Beautiful.
Well, congratulations. Everything is going according to plan, even with the unexpected airplane crash.
Right. Yeah. So my daughter, who is a wheelchair user now, she graduated from college on time. She went back to college. She took a semester off and she went back on time, graduated, and literally just moved to Los Angeles, is on a wheelchair dance team. She just, she booked a commercial with Amazon. She booked a commercial with Nike. She booked a commercial she's doing one for UGG today. And so she's gotten all these opportunities. We've gotten to meet Ali Stroker, who is the first Broadway Tony winner, who's in a wheelchair. We got to meet Donny Osmond. So there's a lot of opportunities that have come to her because of this. And she's definitely making lemonade out of lemons, and she just got engaged and is getting married next year. So I just had to do my little mom brag. So she's doing great, and she's going to go to graduate school, probably online, and be a trauma therapist. So, we decided we were going to try to make the best thing happen out of the worst thing.
Wow. She's got quite the story to tell.
Yeah. And so she's going to be she'll be doing your program soon and she needs to tell her story.
So Tara, leave us with any final thoughts, any final tips, and we'll wrap it up.
I think the biggest thing for me is being so traditionally trained in medicine is you just don't realize how much you do need to do speaking and how much it's going to be of value. And I really do hate social media. I hate it. But I mean, it has been how we have gotten the most patients, the most clients. And I think it's invaluable for everyone. And if you're somebody like me who comes from a geeky place of speaking, I mean, being able to understand the formula that Majeed teaches with the pain points and how you need to shape even your 2-minute Instagram video or whatever, even your 7-second TikTok video. You have 7 seconds of someone's attention to grab their attention, give them a hook, address a pain point, right? And so I think those things, I just realize how much that, even though now I'm looking back, has really been helpful for me. And that came from this program. And so I think, writing a pitch to a reporter, to get them to, feature you on their TV. It's, there is a outline to do that too, but it's the same thing. It's like, you got to speak emotionally to them. You got to put things how a patient wants to hear it or a client wants to hear it. So to get into the mind of them. And I think, Majeed, you do a great job of kind of teaching that. So thank you.
Dr. Tara Scott, famous TikToker, the Hormone Guru. So it's Hormone Guru on TikTok. Yep. And is it revitalizehealth.com? Revitalizemed.com. Revitalizemed.com. So go watch her free 30-minute webinar, watch all of her TikToks. And thank you, Dr. Tara Scott. We have a special designation for someone like you who has done over 10 speeches and gotten over 10 clients. And I understand you're well beyond that. And we call that Expert Speaker Council Master Member. So you are a master and we appreciate your mastery.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Expert Speaker Podcast. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and leave us a rating so that more people can discover the Expert Speaker Podcast and so more people can be empowered to share their message. Be sure to go to www.expertspeaker.com and take a masterclass to learn how to grow your business and make money speaking. It's totally free and will change your business. If you're ready to work with Expert Speaker, you can apply. Just go to expertspeaker.com/apply and someone from our team will be in touch with you to help you grow your business with public speaking. That's expertspeaker.com/apply. We'll see you in the next episode.